This man.
Who are you and what's your game?
I'm Iqbal Khan and I'm a theatre director.
What was theatre like in Shakespeare's day? Were all the audiences really rowdy then, you know? Did they wear tunics and have mud on their faces?
The audiences ranged from the ordinary common working people who'd stand around the theatre here, and then they would range to the aristocrats who would sit at the top of the theatre.
Right, so some of them had to stand up, they didn't have chairs?
No, they'd be standing.
I've never had to stand for a whole Shakespeare. I don't think I could do it. I'd be livid if I didn't have a chair.
I think the audiences quite enjoy it. I mean, particularly now.
I don't think they do enjoy standing, do they?
They actually enjoy the experience of standing.
Who's told you that?
Her delivery is spot on.
Yeah, her delivery
The script is very good, and her delivery is sort of...
The bit with the gloves was just great, you know.
Was it Simon Russell Beale who read that long thing? And she's like, so, what's all that about?
There's a touch of Ali G in there, isn't there? That
Well,
whole
it's
idea
like Ali
where...
G or Dennis Pennis or something like that.
That's
or
right,
even Alan Partridge too. You could sort of see all three.
Yeah.
But soon that day would turn to night, a long dark night, like in Finland. In 1596, Shakespeare's son Hamnet shuffled off this mortal coil. Then he died, and a few years later, his father John kicked the bucket and also died. As Shakespeare's life went sad, so did his plays. If you were asked to pick what Shakespeare did best, most people would say tragedy, which is one of the few things he has in common with Steps. Shakespeare's tragedy plays are the most performed of all his works, none more so than Hamlet, with its famous speech about bees.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
He just seems completely inoffensive, and if you weren't listening too closely, you'd believe it as a normal documentary.
Well, this is the thing. I'd be interested to find out how many people now come away going, "Oh, right."
I didn't know he was Hamlet was Shakespeare's son.
I think the guy from the guy who was doing all the words Shakespeare invented. I don't think he had any idea that it was.
Oh no, that was great.
But I've got a list of words.
Okay.
That he might or might not have made up.
Okay.
And you tell me if Shakespeare made them up or not.
Okay.
Cuckoo.
No, I don't think so.
Ukulele.
No.
Truffle balling.
No.
Ceefax.
No.
Omnishambles.
No.
Nutribullet.
No.
Mixtape.
No.
Spork.
No.
Rufflecopter.
No.
Bumberclot.
No.
Zhuzh.
No.
Potatoey.
No.
Bromance.
No.
Sushi.
No.
Titwank.
No.
Hobnob.
Yes.
Suppose it makes sense that he came up with Hobnob, doesn't it? Because it's the sort of the most old-fashioned of biscuits. It's got like bits of hay in it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like eating a thatched roof.
BAFTAs were on this week as well. Going back to where we sort of started with the old BBC thing. This seemed to
we
be
always come full circle.
This seemed to be dominated by the people sticking up for the BBC, most notably Peter Kaminsky, the director of Wolf Hall, who well, it was the first thing that they aired on the telecast. Whether it was the first thing that happened,
I don't think it was
chronologically. I doubt it very much. But they did give. He gave quite a good speech. I personally preferred the speech given by Mark Rylance at the end. I thought his was more measured, talking about the telling of stories and the reporting of news and the baking of cakes and things. I just found him such an engaging speaker, and I suppose that's why he makes such a good actor.
And even James Nesbitt spoke up in defence as well.
Was speaking up, and Jack Thorne, who wrote "Don't Take My Baby," which won, was talking about disability. The slashing of disability benefits for actors, making it hard for them to go to auditions and things like that. There was a lot of stand up for the BBC. And in terms of who won, were we happy?
Not overly. I mean, Car Share and Don't Take My Baby were the ones I was most happy about.
I mean, I think all the acting awards went to the right people, in my opinion. Saran Jones. I mean, I know we liked Sheridan Smith, and we liked what's her name, Ruth Madeley. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can we very briefly touch on the Sheridan?
Yes, I wanted to.
And say, can we just leave her the hell alone for a while? She's not well.
What? No, she's going through a lot.
Yeah, she's not well. Can everyone just back off?
Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
love her. We love Sheridan.
Yeah.
We love her.
Friend of the
Matt
show.
and I have been in her presence several times.
Yeah.
I've spoken to her several times. She's a lovely person, and I wish people
She's
would
so
leave
engaging and
these
so
lovely
willing
people
to talk
alone.
about her
needs,
project.
Stop bothering on Twitter and and going along to her show and complaining and stuff.
And when people say that, the press does terrible things, they do. They pick on people, and it shouldn't be allowed.
I'm very happy that Chanel Cresswell won for.
Yes, I was thinking of you.
88. And also, this is England 88 winning Best Miniseries.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
Beating Dr. Foster. But obviously, Wolf Hall was the big winner.
Yeah, kind of predictable. I mean, it kind of made me think, if I'm supposed to be this big TV person, although Wolf Hall's probably not for me, I really should sit down and give it my all if it is winning all these awards.
I remember watching the first episode.
First Date's one as well.
Well, yeah, and Celebrity Juice.
Yeah.
Which is something else I won't sit down and watch.
Yeah,
only two wins for ITV.
Yeah, the 2 wins for ITV. Go on, you said.
Tom Courtney, who I look at in a completely different way, having met him
I need to send you the link to his interview on Kermode and Mayo, because it does explain a lot. Just like.
Okay. Is he rude to them?
He's just weird.
He is odd. And Keith Lemon, who is rude and odd. They were the only 2 wins for ITV. The Great British Bake Off, of course, winning. That
I thought that was quite nice. That Mary Berry, had to do it on her own, and for an 80-year-old woman to come out of a Sunday evening unaccompanied is a daunting
is an
prospect.
achievement of itself.
Yeah.
The Murder Detectives winning Factual Series. Very pleased about that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few of our favourites in there, as you say, like the Murder Detectives, Don't Take My Baby. I think there was a lot of wins of shows we liked, so that's good.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen something other than Transparent win the International, but it was always going to, I suppose.
Was it?
Well, I suppose so, because it's the most, it's got the most to say out of all of those shows.
Oh yeah, but I thought The Good Wife might win.
We can briefly discuss The Secret if we've all got time. It's a James Nesbitt 4-parter, which the government are investigating. David Cameron and co are going to investigate how the 4-part series was made, because they are saying that victims' families have been disappointed and left upset by James Nesbitt and co.'s portrayal of real-life murderer Colin Howell. I might be the only one of the trio to like this. Matt watched one, sort of told me, watch it on your own, but don't expect much. Gary's probably not even aware it's a programme. I quite enjoyed it, and probably for all the wrong reasons. I thought James Nesbitt was almost too convincing as a serial killer.
I thought he was very charismatic. I just think, for me, it was more that first episode was a lot of setup, and I think
it was, and I do think a lot of ITV dramas, because of how few they commission and the time period, they haven't got the time to do that. So it's very risky just to get to the point where you're thinking about committing the murder that we all know is happening at the very end of episode 1. You should move it on a bit. Also, they did that cardinal sin, we don't need it, where the first scene was James Nesbitt coming out of a caravan in modern day. We don't know why, and then it flashes straight back to the 1990s. So why we need to do that? The only thing is, it's Nick Murphy who did Prey, and I wondered whether he'd taken a bit from that. I quite liked it because it was set in a different place, set in Northern Ireland. It was a true story, which automatically makes it more compelling, because you think, even if I don't believe this, it happened, so I can't be, proved wrong. I quite enjoyed it. It is hidden away on a Friday on ITV. Did they want to move it and get it out of the way? I don't know. It seems an odd place to put it, but I quite enjoyed it, and I know I'm in the minority.
Have you told your friends about this podcast?
Okay, here we go.
No?
It's just not my idea of a good time.
Tell them now.
That's what the people want to hear.
This is the Custard TV Podcast.
Good to the last drop.
From thecustardtv.com.
Pick of the week, then.
Louis Theroux, A Different Brain, the second of the Louis Theroux series that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, where we looked at people with drinking problems. This is long-term injuries of brain injuries. Sorry, long-term effects of brain injuries. Louis spending time with staff and service users at the Brain Injury Rehab Unit. Again, this is going to be brilliant, and it's going to be slightly.
I've seen this already, and
is it emotional as I thought it would be?
Yes, and it's just fascinating. And I didn't get to talk about Drinking to the Oblivion, which I won't now. But I wondered whether either of you got the sense of, because these are his first docs in the UK. Did you feel like Louis was more attached to the people because they're English? I wonder whether sometimes in the States he can detach himself because they're sort of different, they're a different nationality, different country, but he seems so hands-on with the people in Drinking to the Oblivion, and again in A Different Brain. I know they're vulnerable people and you've got to be dealt with sensitively, but he seems so in touch with them and so sensitive towards them. It's interesting to see him that way, and I do think that's got something to do with the fact that he's filming this in London rather than in Minnesota or New York somewhere, I think. But
it's possible. I see what you mean. There's an automatic connection which he doesn't have, perhaps with those people. So yeah, I don't know, but I just think he does this, and no one else does it as well.
Well, I've got 3 picks this week. So
well, I'm going to go for
from
Mum then, and
okay.
reiterate what you said. This is the new sitcom from Stefan Goloszewski, who created Him and Her. This is Mum of the title is Kathy, who in the first episode has just lost her husband. The first episode is set on the day of his funeral, where she meets her son's new girlfriend, who I had no idea was played by Lisa McGrillis, who was in Hepburn.
She is brilliant.
Yeah, she's brilliant. It was Kelly.
Sorry, Cafe.
Cafe.
Sorry, Cafe. Come and watch it now, all together. I think it's just great.
I love that.
Inside jokes for shows that haven't aired yet. Fantastic.
Yeah. And also in this, Peter Mullen doing a very understated performance as her sort of old friend Michael, who's holding a bit of a torch for her,
and at no point does he threaten to shoot anybody.
No, it's so good. He's just very good at standing in this series. I don't know if you could.
There's a lot of episodes as well where he just goes in the toilet and sits on the toilet.
Sits on the toilet, or just stands by a wall, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And just looks into middle distance, but it's very good doing it. And it's just brilliant. I mean, it's very natural. The dialogue's great.
It's so
There's a
natural.
whole thing about in this first episode, the buffet they're putting on at the pub after the funeral, which just all feels great.
Brilliant. Everything about it is... Oh, I love it. I want to clasp it to my bosom.
Dorothy Atkinson is great, as well as her brother's girlfriend, who's very sort of Pauline.
If you don't like this, then you really need to have a word with yourself, because it is...
So you've heard that here first, Gary.
Yeah. Going forward...
He probably now won't like it, because we like it so much.
I feel like I've heard nothing else.
Going forward is Jo Brand returning in one of my favourite roles she's ever done, Nurse Kim Wilde from Getting On, which all three of us...
As opposed to all the other acting she's done.
Well, she did one other thing. But I really liked this. I've seen all 3, and sadly at the moment there is only 3, and that's the big shame. Even, it did the amazing thing of it made me like Omid Jalili, who I've never liked my whole watching TV life. Basically, this sees Nurse Kim Wilde outside of the hospital. She's now a home help. She's got her own family to deal with. She's got her mother who's had a stroke. It's very naturalistic, very quick, it's just, if you like Getting On, you just want to spend more time with Nurse Kim Wilde, then you should. That's my pick of the week, but I have 2 more, if I may. My next one is Locked Up, which is on Tuesday. It's a Spanish prison drama, part of Walter Presents. It does some things that I don't like, some prison cliches that I don't like, but I am a fan of it based on the first episode. It does irritate me slightly and make me laugh, though, that the main character's called Macarena.
The main character's called what?
Macarena, which does nothing for the Spanish stereotypes. And only because we'll be recording on the night this is on, The Americans returns to ITV Encore on Thursday night. And this 4th series is just outstanding. And we're only, I think, 9 episodes behind the US, which isn't bad for ITV Encore.
And finally, as well, the last episode of Undercover.
supposedly, as we head to June, a lot of good stuff coming on the telly, and I couldn't be
Don't worry,
happier.
the European Football Championships will be on soon.
When does that start?
June 6th or something, or June 7th?
And is that on ITV alone, or is it on BBC
No, it's on
as well?
BBC